Hi everyone, I'm the book guy, and this is my lovely wife Kit, the book gal. She's helping me out today. Say hello.
Hello. All right. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about the highlights and lowlights of the year so far, both on the channel and in what we've been reading. And then we're going to talk about what's coming next year so that you guys have got a heads up of what's happening behind the scenes. First of all, we're going to start off with Standout Reads from 2025.
Yeah, we've read a lot of books this year. We've covered a lot of them on the channel as well. I thought we'd just highlight probably my personal favorites is probably the easiest way to put that, because there's a lot of options. And if you know me, you know that I read a lot of different genres. So like I do sci-fi and fantasy, but I also do young adult, middle grade, and indie. So we'll talk about highlights from each of those categories. So maybe this will be a short, simple way for you to find a few highlights of your own.
Yeah. And if any of these sound good, you can go check on the channel, because all of these that we're going to mention have their own reviews on the channel already, but you can get more information. But let's kick off with sci-fi.
Most of them have a video.
Most of them. Let's kick off with sci-fi.
Well, I think one of my highlights of this year would be, the three body problem. That one I did not expect to love so much. Didn't I get obsessed with this one when I was reading it?
I did feel like every 10 minutes you were coming in and like updating me on where the story was. So I don't feel a need to read this series because I kind of got your commentary the whole way through.
You weren't gonna read it anyway.
I wasn't.
Yeah. But yes, I did get a bit intense about that. That one was a highlight. I mean, I feel like nowadays, if I got to talk about three body problem, I got to acknowledge, there are definitely some weaker areas in it, but like my enjoyment of it was maximum. But before that, we also read the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. That was a highlight of the year.
One of the OGs of sci-fi.
That's right, one of the goats. We're too old to be using terminology like that. All right, he's a good author. I mean, Foundation's weird because he wrote the first trilogy. He wrote the first trilogy in the 40s, and then returned to it in the 80s and 90s. So there are 7 books, but they are one of the most. It is one of the most disjointed series I've ever read. Like no book is quite like one of the others in it. It's all over the place. Each book's good on its own, but yeah, definitely a weird series.
I vividly remember when you finished that series, you were super emotional because it ends on such a hopeful note for humanity.
Yes. Sci-fi is dominated by dystopia, and I think we love Star Trek. Star Trek's always very optimistic. It's the belief that humanity will rise above our current problems and actually go into space and do good things, God forbid. Anyway, another sci-fi read was Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Now, Kit, you've read a bit of Adrian Tchaikovsky.
I did
back in
years
the day.
ago. His Shadows of the Apt
That's
series,
the one,
which has, I think, 15 or 16 books.
10.
And 10?
Sorry, babe.
I thought it was more than that. But I read up until I didn't read the last few of them because he killed off a character and I was very upset about it. And I'm still not over it. So I haven't finished that series.
Yeah, no, after I read Children of Time, I'm like, Tchaikovsky's good, man. We got to pay attention to that guy.
The world building in Shadows of the Apt is really impressive. I think I just picked it up randomly from a bookstore. But it's so rich. Such a expansive world.
Yeah, apparently it's D&D, but with bugs. That's how he described it. Like he called it Bug World for a while there. Yeah. But like Children of Time, it's the whole concept is using sci-fi and technology to exalt animals, to raise animals up to human levels of intellect, and then building huge societies and cultures based around their animal traits. And I remember when I started reading the first book, and I was like, oh my goodness, Kit, it's bugs again. He's done bugs again. What is with this guy?
Hey, if you've got a special interest, run with it. That's what I think.
Oh, man. Great series, though. The other standout was Sun Eater. Wasn't that experience? Look, people pushed me for years to read Sun Eater because a lot of people love it. I liked it. I think it was good, but I'm not a devout fan like I think most of the other booktube is, unfortunately. I've got to still read book 7, Shadows Upon Time. Yeah. I'm hopeful that I'll suddenly love it after the 7th one. Oh, that sounds terrible.
Maybe he'll stick the landing.
I think he'll stick the landing, but yeah, I think it's going to be, on par with what's been done before, and I wasn't necessarily a fan of what was done before, but still, like, That was a lot of reading that went into that. They're big books. Big old books, yeah. All right, let's move on to fantasy. We've covered a bunch of them. So this is going back a little while. At the start of the year, I finished my Malazan read-through, which I did most of that the year before that and the year before that. But I think in February this year, I covered the last of the Malazan books. So now I've read all of them, except the one he published like 2 months ago, No Life Forsaken. He's always publishing another book. It's Malazan, man.
Yeah,
It's
you can't stop him.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But that was good. I think when people read Malazan, they prioritize the big one, the Book of the Fallen, the main 10, which is rightfully so. And then all the novellas and sequels and spin-offs don't get as much attention. But I think they're just as good and at times better. I remember me going nuts about the big prequels. Yeah, the Carcanis trilogy. That was incredible. Completely underrated. The fans failed him, man. Oh, I'm still mad.
So if you're interested in those, there are videos for all the prequels and the sequels and the novellas and all that stuff.
We've got it's got its own playlist on the channel. Yeah. There's that many of them.
Yeah. So if you've enjoyed Malazan or the Book of the Fallen, which most people who are into that series have read, and you're not sure what's worth reading next, you can check out those videos.
Absolutely.
And next up in fantasy, you're coming to read Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff.
Yeah, I'm halfway through the second one. Yeah. This is really good because I know I've read a few Kristoff books when he worked with Amy Kaufman and did YA. But I think he's fascinating because he's clearly made each series he's worked on slightly more ambitious and complex than the one before. Like he's leveling up until it comes time to do Empire of the Vampire, and he's done something really ambitious and big, and it's worked. It's worked really well. He spent the time to get the skills he needed to take on such an ambitious concept. Sorry, I get really fired up about this because so many people are like, I want to write the next Game of Thrones, and the first book they try to write is the 1,000-page monster. I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah, you don't go to the gym for the first time in 5 years and start on like the heavy weights.
Yeah.
You work your way up.
Just get on the treadmill and walk for 5 minutes and then see how you go.
Not that I'm an authority in going to the gym. It's a good metaphor.
It was a solid metaphor, yes.
And just putting this out there, if any of you know Jay Kristoff, we would love to have him on the channel because we love supporting other Australian authors.
Oh, we had Amy Kaufman on the channel this year, actually. She's wonderful.
Lovely. Yeah. And I think you and Jay would just get on really well because you've both got the long hair. You're both really into metal.
What says that about metal? Yeah. Here's one I prepared earlier. Yeah. Well, another standout for fantasy was the 5 Warrior Angels by Brian Lee Durfee. I think many of you will know Brian's another booktuber. And tell you what, like I picked up his books out of like a polite professional curiosity. You know, because, he's a colleague. I should give his books a try. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, holy crap, these are fantastic. What a surprise.
I heard a lot about those.
You did hear a lot about that. Yeah. Well, that said, though, that series is pretty freaking dark and violent and graphic at times. There's a lot of sexual assault in that one because there's like a church that's very misogynistic towards women sort of thing. It's a bit of a commentary on religion at times. Very confronting and important, but very well done. But so dark at times. Sorry. You know what I loved about 5 Warrior Angels? I've got to say it every time I mention it up because it's a big cast of characters, but some of them are good characters who go bad, and some are bad characters who go good. And some are bad characters who try to go good and then fail, and then some of the good characters who try to redeem themselves and fail. And we have character arcs that go in all directions. And what it creates is this environment of uncertainty where you never quite know what's going to happen to your character. And it's incredible. There's very few authors who I've seen write character arcs just like that. Like, honestly, on the same level of Robin Hobb is the other author, I think, who does that sort of thing.
That is high praise.
Very high praise. I stand by it.
Very high praise. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we see the shrine to Robin Hobb behind us here. Yeah. Oh, I should reread that series anyway. What else are we talking about? Dandelion Dynasty. Oh, man. Oh, speaking of dark and brutal and awful.
Dandelion Dynasty is the silk punk.
Yes, silk punk. Good call, yes.
So if you know steampunk, which is inherently like English Victorian, silk punk is inherently like Chinese,
Eastern,
Oriental.
Asian sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ken Liu was the author. He's fantastic. I mean, that said, I always warn people that Dandelion Dynasty is written like it's a history textbook. So it's very dry, flat language. It can be a struggle to get through.
Some people love that, though.
It was incredible. It felt so lifelike. I honestly think it's one of the best series I've ever read, even though it was hard to read, very punishing at times. But let's move on. What are some YA books? One YA book that stood out to me was Iron Widow. I loved Iron Widow. Although we're going to get conspiracy theory here. Just
YA.
Yeah, man. It's a whole thing. The author, Shiran, they had they got an agent in their early days, and the agent's like, you got to make this book YA. And so Shiran's like, oh, geez, I want to be published. So redrafted the whole book to make it YA. And it was successful. But then they were like, I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't true to the story. It wasn't true to myself. And then they made the second book pure adult high fantasy. And a lot of the readers didn't like it because they're expecting another YA book. Yeah. And I think the only people who've liked both books are the people who like YA and high fantasy. But I genuinely think this second one is one of the best high fantasy books I've read in recent years. And if they can write the third book to the same quality, I'll be a happy reader.
And the concept is there's essentially giant robots that they're fighting.
It is a giant robots one, yes. The Evangelion and Pacific Rim is the other one, but there's like 600 animes that I don't know about. Yeah, but the whole thing, like, it is giant robots fighting, but the big challenge is social reform, is that the country has a lot of unfairness, particularly in its practices towards women, and our main character, Wu Zietian, is like, oh, I'm going to go save the world and fix and bring justice, and then realizes that's a very naive belief and how complex this is. And I think it's one of the best series I've seen to actually challenge the concept of social reform and depict it in all its complexity.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the main girl in that, is she disabled?
Oh, yes, to an extent. They practice the ancient Chinese art of foot binding for beauty, so she often has to go in a wheelchair. So there's like a level of disability there as well, yeah. I mean, she still pilots a giant mech warrior sort of thing, which,
there's a bit of rep in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Very well done.
And the other one that you read this year that was YA was An Ember in the Ashes.
Yes.
Which I have also read, and we had very different reactions to.
I really like... Look, here's the thing. It's classified as YA. I think it's yet another example of someone shoving a female author into the YA category, whether the book belongs there or not. I think Ember in the Ashes has a couple of YA elements, but to consider it a full YA book is just inaccurate. Yeah. I'm a bit mad, but but I read that book 6 months ago, and I still haven't made a video on it. Sorry, read the whole series. I've got a bit of a backlog, but we'll talk about that in a second. But that was a standout.
Yeah, I personally, for me, it was a difficult series to get through just because it was on the darker side. And that's not what I enjoy reading, because in my experience, reality is depressing enough. I don't need that in my books.
What are you talking about?
All right, moving on to some middle grade books. We had some amazing middle grade videos and also guest authors on the channel this year.
Oh, we did? Yes.
We had
another one right here.
Yeah, we had the fantastic Jeremy Lachlan, who wrote Jane Doe.
Oh, he was great. I loved having him on the channel. You know, sorry, not to overshare, but every once in a while when you interview people, there's a lot of authors who are great with words, but very bad with on-screen presence. Yeah, but Jeremy Lachlan was not one of them. It was such a natural, easygoing conversation. That was a real pleasure. But his book's about a world-hopping, temple-exploring young girl. That was heaps of fun. So well done. It was
sort of like an Indiana Jones-ish
crossed with Narnia fantasy sort of thing. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're looking for books to buy for younger people in your lives for Christmas, fantastic series. It is finished. There are 4 books. Highly recommend it, and you can go watch the video on it and the interview with Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy, if you're watching.
Good plug, babe. Well done. And off the back of that, so Jeremy Lachlan is... Jeremy Lachlan is an Australian author like myself. Another Australian author on a similar level is Jessica Townsend. She did her 4th book this year, which again, read it 6 months ago. Haven't reviewed it yet. I'll get around to it. But this is quite literally one of the best middle grade series out there. And
you have done a review on the first 3 books in the series.
That's exactly right.
So you can go watch that. Again, great Christmas gift for people.
Yeah.
Or if you've got kids or kids in your life, fantastic series to read with them. It holds up reading it as an adult. So good.
It's really good, yeah. And one of the things, too, is Jessica Townsend wrote the first 3 books in about a 3 to 4 year period. Just boom, boom, boom. And then she stopped and took 4.5 years to do this one.
It's a chunky book,
It's bigger. It's, you know, sometimes in middle grade books, you get the aging up moment. I think book 4 is the maturing of the series and definitely raises the stakes a little bit. But she said she took 4.5 years just because it was such a big challenge and she wanted to get it right. And I really respect that. Like, there's such a pressure when you're a content creator, on YouTube or as a writer, you got to keep to the schedule, to keep the momentum going, to keep the money coming in. And I'm like, imagine slowing down so you get it right because you've got artistic integrity.
Yes.
That's pretty good, hey?
And also, she had a phenomenal deal from her publishers, which you can Google.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. What else? There was one other, middle grade, Percy Jackson. This is, again, I finished the Percy Jackson series at the start of this year.
Was that video this year?
It was, way back in March.
Year.
I know, right? What is time even?
Oh, who knows?
Anyway, but I finally finished reading every Percy Jackson book. And I know I just said that, Morrigan Crow might be the best middle grade book, but maybe it's Percy Jackson as well. I love Percy Jackson. You know what's special about Rick Riordan as an author? He has this amazing ability to write an entertaining story that's still educational, because he's teaching kids about mythology and alternate history. And so many people don't realize how much they're learning while they're just being entertained. And so many authors try to do that and they suck at it. Anyway.
Can I also just get a show of hands for everyone who was super into mythology when they were a kid?
Yeah, right.
Did anybody else pick up the gold shiny Egyptology book?
Did anyone else play Age of Mythology from the Age of Empires creators?
Classic.
Yeah. I actually bought that game. The plan is to replay it. Yeah. Gonna play it through. That'll be fun. Anyway, what's next? Indie books. Oh, okay. Yes.
So many fantastic indie books out there.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm skipping ahead.
Including his.
But I've got like 30 indie books on my TBR, which I got to get through next year. So there's a certain amount of overwhelm at the mention of the word indie at this point. But what did we read this year? Discovery by the team at Talking Story by John, Amy, and Jacob, the Mintons. Yes. Now look, bit of nepotism here. I do love them. They're wonderful people. But I also liked their book. There's a separation of art and art.
Them being wonderful people only goes so far. If the book was terrible, we still would have said it was
like
terrible.
If you wrote a terrible book...
Not going to happen.
Oh, I feel like I stepped in something there. Let's leave that alone. No, that's a really good book. Cosmic horror combined with like an urban sci-fi.
And very like Lovecraftian, is that?
Very Lovecraftian.
I remember John saying, because you and John did a tandem interview where you interviewed each other about your books, which is on the Talking Story channel if you want to go watch it.
One of the coolest bit of like booktube content. Like, I know I'm self-plugging here, but the idea of two YouTubers who are also authors who've read each other's books interviewing each other simultaneously, once in a lifetime type of thing. It's so good.
What is it, an hour of you and John just geeking out together? That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
You're just a fly on the wall for these two nerds talking to each other from across the world, and it's lovely.
Yeah, I think like John's a lot like me in that he gets very passionate about things, but he also knows how to get his point across and then stop. And I think we really bounced off each other very well because we both got really excited and knew how to pause and let the other person talk, which, not every enthusiastic person can do. I don't do it very well all the time.
It was a fantastic discussion.
It was a really good... What else?
Other indie authors.
Wild Darkness Gathers. So this is Philip Chase. I'm not going to reach it. I'll bump the microphone if I do. But Philip Chase wrote the Adan trilogy, which I hope you've heard about by now. It's really good. And then he did a sequel, Wild Darkness Gathers. And while the trilogy is big and epic, Wild Darkness Gathers is much smaller and succinct and still epic and adventurous. Slightly different vibes, but a really, really good book. Definitely a real standout. Moving on.
Oh, Sean's book.
Sean's book, yes.
Hey, Sean.
Sean Bobby Kerr is the author of Journey Thrice Begun. And again, I read this one right at the very start of the year. But I want to highlight again because this is probably the indie book that I can't stop thinking about the most. It was really good. Full disclosure, there were a couple of rookie errors, which you sometimes get in an indie book, but like nothing major at all. Definitely one of the standout books. I mean, it's a story about a guy who gets the call to adventure to come to a magic school, and he says no, because he prefers his quiet life in his quiet town.
Relatable.
I know, but he ends up being drawn into the problems of the world anyway, because conflict is coming one way or another, and it's a masterful done. So every line of it was really well written.
There's a sequel to that too. Has it come out?
He's working on a trilogy, but he did take 3 years to do the first book.
Okay.
It's the reason why it was so high quality, because he really worked it until it was done. But you can follow him on, I think Instagram is where he's most active.
Yeah.
I think he's a good author to watch out for.
And another Australian author too, actually.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes. Sydney-based.
We were in Sydney for a book convention last year, and Sean reached out to Michael, and they just ended up meeting up for a beer.
Yeah, that was good. So I'm really excited about that. It was I don't normally meet people in this job.
In real life.
Yeah. And being in Australia, I think 45% of my viewership's in America.
Yeah. So. And then a bunch in Europe, and it's
Yeah. What else? One more indie book we'll highlight is Ghosts of Nothing, by yet another content creator. Scary Fairy Godmother is her YouTube.
The fairy one.
Yeah, the fairy one. Yeah, so she wrote the book Ghosts of Nothing, which is like an urban fantasy with a haunted town that's actually been haunted by fae. And that was really good because it was fae done right, because the fae are properly scary and tricky and smart. I absolutely love that one. But that's all for my reading highlights. Kit, did you want to share, dare I ask? Because Kit doesn't quite read fantasy and sci-fi. What do you read, darling?
I hear the patronization in your tone.
No, what are you talking about? There's no patronizing.
So
I always say read whatever you want.
I primarily read romance books. I think this year I got up to 210 books.
Good Lord.
Was it 210? No, I can't remember. Anyway.
I did about half that, by the way.
But when you compare page numbers, it's relatively equal because your books are bigger that you read.
You're just being polite now. I can hear the patronizing in your tone.
So I've read a lot of books. A couple of ones that I really enjoyed this year that you've probably seen around on TikTok were Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, which is a dark romance told through a really light-hearted and funny lens. It's a very interesting juxtaposition. I haven't read the sequel yet, but it really enjoyable, surprisingly, even though there's some weird stuff in it. And
what kind of weird stuff?
No, not... You can Google that for yourselves.
Go straight to images.
I also read, what was it? Faking with Benefits by...
Faking with Benefits. Sorry.
Don't judge me.
I'm not judging. So it's an FWB, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. By an author called Lily Gold. And it really stood out to me because something that's really common in romance books is the miscommunication trope and a third act breakup. And this book was so well written that it restored my faith in the fact that those can be done well.
Yeah.
And I was up at 3 a.m. trying to finish this book because I was so emotional over what was happening. And while I wouldn't say this one was one of my favorite books of the year, it's worth a notable mention. I did also read The Morning Glory Milking Farm. Google that at your own peril if you don't know what it is.
Morning Glory
Milking Farm.
Milking Farm.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that.
You know, a farm implies a certain mass production,
Yes.
non-consensual...
No,
borderline
consensual.
slavery. It's consensual. Okay. Well, that's all my concerns addressed.
Think like how in our world people go donate blood. In this world, minotaurs go donate something else.
I'm trying so hard, kid.
It's one of those.
We're going to move on now. So let's talk about the challenge.
It's one of those ones I've seen on Book Talk pop up, and then it was my library had it for free on the audiobook, and it's a short one, and I was like, I'll see what it's about. So that is something that lives in my head now.
Well, while we're comparing, I did check out a book. So no, we were talking about we're speaking of unhinged romance erotica books. I heard about one really weird one that's called Triceratops and Bottoms. Because it's a dinosaur erotica book.
Can we put the cover up when we do? Because the cover's...
It's one of the most unhinged things. And I read the first chapter online, and I'm so mad because there was actually some really good writing techniques being employed. I'm like, damn, I hate to admit, but this is half decent.
No shame to anybody who enjoys those kind of books.
No, there's some shame this time. Just there's a little bit. Let's move on. So that's what we read this year. Let's talk about what's gone on the channel. So we've had a pretty good year on the channel, actually. It's been all over the place a little bit. It hasn't been the most consistent, but one big win we had on the Book Guide channel this year is we hired an editor. This was really exciting. So Nix is my editor, who I've been working with really closely, a friend of ours who wanted to come on board, and we actually taught her editing, more or less, or there was some background.
She learned how to do it to do this job, yeah.
We thought that she would just edit the occasional video, but now it's at a point where she's editing probably about 80 to 90% of the content that's going on the channel at the moment, which is a huge win for all of us, But one of the reasons why we wanted to bring on a video editor was entirely to free up some time so I can keep working on my books. So let's talk about that. So we fulfilled the Kickstarter this year, didn't we?
Yep, Kickstarter got fulfilled. The only thing that's left to be fulfilled is the final audiobook.
Still going
out, yes. We've got the file, you're just listening to it this week.
Yeah, I'm proofreading it.
So that should hopefully be out to people by roughly the end of the month. Mm-hmm. But speaking of audiobooks, we had some dramas.
We did have some dramas, didn't we? Yes. So we had the first audiobook completely finished way back in June. I think we sent it out to the Kickstarter backers through BookFunnel. But when it came time to upload it, turns out things are a lot trickier. We wanted to do wide distribution, so not just with Audible. We want to go across the board. And for that, you need a downstream distributor. And we found one, which we thought was perfect because everyone said it was perfect, and we started going through them. But the moment we went through them, they got bought out by another company, and the other company changed everything dramatically. And I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to get sued for defamation, but I cannot stress enough how strongly negative an experience I had with them. And they are called In Audio, and I strongly recommend not to use them. After 6 months of chasing them, we have just pulled our audiobooks from their services, and we're going to find a new distributor, which has been a massive frustration this year because they just keep giving me the runaround. But let's just say it was a really bad experience. So I apologize to those of you who have been eagerly waiting for audiobooks and to get them on Audible. I know that's important to a lot of people. They are coming. The audiobooks have been made, and we've got a new distributor lined up, and we've just got to get them on there. And hopefully this one will actually do the job they're supposed to do, and we'll go from there. So that's been fun.
I also just want to note that before anybody comments and says you can just upload to Audible directly, you actually can't if you're based in Australia. So pretty much everywhere else you can upload to Audible via ACX.
So if you to go direct to Audible, it's America, Canada, and UK who can do it. Every other country, you've got to find a distributor as a middle ground, and then they go to Audible for you.
Yeah. I just wanted to cap that off before anybody's like, oh, just go through that. No, we can't. We're in Australia. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. The other big thing that happened this year.
The other big negative
thing was we got hacked.
The channel got hacked. That was awful. I hated that.
It was a very stressful 2 days.
It was 4 days.
4 days?
4 days. Yeah.
Very intense.
Yeah, that was rough. Because it wasn't even that I got hacked, is that my information got leaked by Google, in a massive data breach that they had. But that was really fun. Look, I'll say, as awful as that whole experience was, I had a lot of people who showed up at that time, like John from Talking Story and Philip Chase as well. They both did posts to their followers to let people know what had happened. They all showed up. I had a couple of people, I know Daniel Green reached out to me to offer help as well. A lot of people just sort of came around me at that point and offered a bit of love, which is something I'll talk about because I do a lot of my YouTube stuff in isolation. I don't necessarily hang out with people because I'm in Australia. It's different time zones. It's always tricky to interact. But the hacking experience made me realize that there are a lot of good people out there. And they're really smart too. And this is the thing. If you want to get smarter, you got to go find some smart people to hang out with. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is one of my goals for next year, which I know I'm skipping ahead, but it's just to go hang out with other booktubers, contribute to what they're doing, and interact a little bit more, because I think it's worth doing, for a lot of reasons.
So if anybody wants to invite him onto their channel for a chat, that's your opening.
That's true. We are just sort of putting that out there, aren't we? Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about content. What content have we made this year? The video essays were a good one. Yeah, so something we're slowly doing more and more of is video essays. aiming to talk about writing, literacy, education, all these important topics that are like book adjacent. And I think we did a really good one last year that did well, the Why Adults Don't Read. That got a lot of attention. I'm very proud of that, talking about adult literacy rates, which is a bit scarier than we like to think about. But we did only a few more of them this year, which was Why We All Read the Same Books, which was more of a booktube commentary sort of thing, which I'm really proud of that, because I think it's important to be aware that we can all read the same books, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing. And I think it's good to talk about it in a way that's a bit more compassionate, understanding.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance in that video.
Oh,
about
absolutely.
Discussing that. Like, you had, 12, 14 points about...
I don't even know. It was
something.
a lot, yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of layers to that discussion,
yes.
Which was really good. And then, of course, your other videos is you did 2 writing difficult topics.
The video essay one, we also did the offensive books one. That was a big one. I thought that was going to be a short 20-minute video, and it turned into a 55-minute video, because who knew talking about offensive content on the internet would be complicated and nuanced? But again, I'm really, really proud of that one. It's really about critical reading. How to read offensive content, how to engage with it, and learn from it, but also not be influenced by it necessarily. I'm very proud of that one, and I do hope you guys will check that one out if you get a chance. Completely different line was what you mentioned, the writing difficult topics videos, because I wanted to do writing video essays on writing, and there's a lot of people already doing that, so I just decided to tackle some big old topics like democracy and propaganda. And those were the most thoroughly researched, thoroughly edited. I even had a proofreader who reviewed the first one, and one of my patrons who is literally like a political science major. So it's a peer-reviewed paper. Okay, she did say very clearly, you can't say it's peer-reviewed. But yeah, we're going to do some more of them next year. We think we're going to talk about dragons. Bit different, yes. Rather than making it all political and governmental and world building, let's talk about some more fantasy elements like dragonology and all that's involved there is sort of my next plan. And one other bit of content, I'm sure you've probably seen, is my Discworld read-through. Again, I'm really proud of this one because it's easy for me to stand here on camera and be like, here are a bunch of books you should go read. But I want to actually come alongside people and read with you, so you can go through books one at a time at a slower rate and feel like you're interacting with someone and having a bit more support there.
It's kind of like a zero pressure book club.
That's exactly the way to put it.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you.
But obviously, I will acknowledge too, the Discworld read through. It's not my most popular series, but it's something. It's content that deserves to be made.
It's important.
It's very important, yes. And I want to keep doing that. That'll be a staple on the channel to always be reading through one series, one book at a time. And we'll debate what to do after Discworld. I think we'll finish up Discworld in the next year or so, but we'll see what we do after that.
So how many Discworld books are there?
There's 41.
And which are you up to in the videos?
I'm about to do 14... Well, today, so 14's up now.
So we're hoping that next year we'll pretty much round out the Discworld read-through throughout the year, and then potentially move on to another series doing another read-through.
Yeah. All right. What's coming up?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to list out really quickly, because we're running short on time, the books that you've got listed that you're going to be reading next year.
Yes.
So the first one is Janny Wirt's Wars of Light and Shadow. I know that's been on your list for a while. I believe, is it Joanna from Joanna Reads is a big fan of Janny Wirtz?
She is, yes. And John from Talking Story as well is a big fan. I'll say too, I actually read the first book in the Wars of Light and Shadow, The Curse of the Mistwraith. I read it in August this year. And I had this rare experience where I got to the end of the book and I'm just like, I don't think I read that correctly. It's like, I don't think I was smart enough to fully take that in.
Yep.
I had the same experience with Malazan. It happens every once in a while. I'm just like, this was too big for me, and I need to read it again. So that is my big reading goal, to try to get through those 11 books.
So getting through those next year. Also getting through the 10 books by John Gwynne.
Yes. John Gwynne has 3 series with 10 books in total. People have been talking about it for ages. Finally going to confront it and just make that a priority for this year.
And we've also got Mark Lawrence on the list.
Very true. I'm going to interrupt every single time, so just okay.
I'm just trying to keep us moving.
I know. Mark Lawrence has written a bunch of different books. He's got like 20 books out there. I read 6 books of his in different series, and I meant to do a video, and then next thing I know, like 2 years have passed, and I still haven't made a video, and I'm like, crap. I need to reread them at this point. So that is my goal, to actually reread them and talk about it. What else?
This one has been requested a lot.
A lot. Oh my goodness.
Dungeon Crawler Carl is officially on the TBR.
There it is. It's like 9 books of that by now. But yeah, people are going nuts for that one.
That'll be happening next year. And then, as you mentioned before, you've got over 30 indie books on your TBR that people have sent you pictures for and that sort of thing. So we are closed to indie author pictures at the moment because he needs to catch up.
I closed myself to indie author pictures for like the last third of this year with the anticipation of opening up in January. But the thing is, I've literally got about 30 on my list, and I only say yes to about 1 in 4. So I am picky, and I've still got 30 because there's so many indie authors out there who have written good stuff that deserve a chance. But that's got to be a big focus of mine. But one of the other challenges is every once in a while I read an indie book and I'm like, I didn't like it. I don't think it was good. And so I don't make a video on it. So there's a very high cost in time and very small payoff in terms of YouTube content. So I've got to be very strategic about it, and it's a hard one to work into it.
Yeah, and I think it's actually important to say that, 1 in 4 that you get pitched, you will actually read. And then of the ones you read, it's probably another, 1 in 3 or 4 that you review.
Half, about 1 in 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
50% of those that you'll actually do a review on.
That's right.
So that just goes to show the ones that he is reviewing on the indie author playlist that we have for the channel are like the cream of the crop of what has been read. So definitely go check them out if you want to support some indie authors, because everybody should. That's an amazing thing to do. Buy them as Christmas gifts for people. Buy them for yourself. Set yourself a challenge to read a few new undiscovered authors next year.
Absolutely. And the final thing is other YouTubers. So on the channel, I try to review books written by other YouTubers whenever I get a chance. And there's definitely a few more that I'll do next year. I'm not going to name them at this stage, because I always hedge my bets, because what if I read a book by another YouTuber and it's terrible? I'm not just going to go and attack their career. That's who's that for?
You just won't do the review.
Yeah, I just won't do the review. But there's definitely more. So what else is happening behind the scenes? Let's talk about it. So
2026
in the next coming year. So you guys know my series, The Model Investigations. This year, we've been working very hard behind the scenes to write book number 4. So the whole reason we hired Nix as our editor, so I got time to actually write the next book. The big thing we're saying, 2026, book 4 of The Immortal Investigations is coming out. We haven't picked a title.
We had a title, but then the book ended up being a little bit different to we expected.
I still think I can make it work. I might... No. What? You haven't even read the... Get out of here. Look, I'm going to say it now. I'll say it now. If this works, I'll look like a genius. The working title I've had for book 4 is A Queen in Exile, which I like it very much because the third book is A King in Waiting, so A Queen in Exile feels like a natural follow-up to that. But we'll see if it fits the actual story as it turns out. I had to change a few things, but that's the big plan.
We're going to keep that title in our back pockets for later because we really like it.
I absolutely agree. I will say, I would love to get this book out June, July. That's best case scenario, though. Of course, the precedent is always make sure it's good. It'll get released when it's good.
Hang on, I've got a title idea. You ready for it?
Oh, yeah.
A Throne of Queens and Blood. I'll see myself out.
Oh, out of this marriage. I love you.
But
moving on.
Yeah, don't fear. It's not going to be anything like that.
Yeah, so book 4 is coming out. Keep an eye out for that. What else? We will get the audiobooks out there. So we've got the existing audiobooks for the existing 3 books. They've all been made. I've just got to sign off on the 3rd one. But we will get them out in 2026 as early as possible once we get our new distributor working on it. So thank you for your patience with that. And if you are waiting for the audiobooks, I hope you will check them out. Our narrator, Angus Scott, is an extremely talented British man who has devoted himself to learning all the subtle accents for all the international characters. He's done so much work. We've thrown him so many curveballs.
The amount of different accents in this series, because it does go international, the more into the series we get, we're yet to trip him up. We will manage it one day, but he's done a phenomenal job.
It's true. We've had definitely a few tricky ones. Although I'm writing a character in book 4, which, as a slight little teaser, the character has multiple forms. And so multiple host bodies, it might be the way to describe it. And I told my narrator, it's like, when it comes time to do this one, I want all of them to have a different voice, but speak in the same cadence. And he's like, are you nuts? What are you doing to me? I was like, come on, man, you can do this.
He's going to regret not charging us more.
He's going to have to charge us more at this point.
Sorry, Angus.
So what else? In terms of video content, so we're definitely going to keep doing video reviews. So like the scripted ones, we're going to prioritize Empire of the Vampire and The Bound and the Broken, which are very requested series, which I'm almost finished reading them. We'll get them out early next year. I've got a huge backlog of books that I've read and haven't done a review of yet.
Some of which you've already mentioned.
Yes.
So, An Ember in the Ashes.
That's right. Maybe Red Queen. I haven't decided on that one. But it's there's a lot of YA books that I've read and haven't reviewed yet. There's a couple of classic fantasy books that I will get to, and some standalones, so like Rebecca Kwang's books, Babel and Yellowface, which I've read, just haven't made the review about. I'll get around to it. Because people have requested a lot of standalones. They say you review whole series. What about people who are casual readers? Can you review more standalones? So I've been trying to do more standalones on the channel. So for more content, we mentioned earlier that we've worked more on video essays. I've got a couple more video essays that I want to do in 2026 about reading and literature and education, which I won't say what they are just yet, but they're always a lot of fun. We want to continue the writing difficult topics one, but we'll focus a little bit more on like fantasy concepts, like dragons next, I think is the way to go. And the other big priority is finishing the Discworld read-through and then celebrating that with a bunch of extra bonus Discworld content, such as ranking every Discworld book, which I think would be worth doing after you've read all 41 of them twice.
Yeah. You are on a mission to become the Discworld guy.
I would like to be the Discworld guy. Yeah. Yes. I won't lie. If I got to, meet Rhianna Pratchett, that would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. Okay. One other one. You should tell us one.
Yeah, I'm going to introduce this one. So we've wanted to do this series for a while, but we want to do a video series targeted specifically to indie authors. So we want to talk about things like the publishing process, things like I really want to talk about how to DIY your own cover and that sort of thing, because I am a cover designer.
Or more like why they should pay to get a cover designer if you don't have the skills.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about those, our own personal experiences through the process of publishing the Immortal Investigation series,
Yes.
The pros and cons of doing a Kickstarter or a pre-sale.
Not to mention the fact that I have been reading and reviewing about 50 different indie books on the channel. And I've sampled so many more. We have this incredible experience, to be totally honest, where I am a reviewer and a writer, and we are, self-publishing this series. We want to share what we've learned with people so far. Yeah. And I think too, we just see so many indie mistakes.
Yeah. Mistakes that we've made and mistakes we've seen other people make.
Oh, look, all the mistakes we've made sense. All the mistakes everyone else makes was stupid. Look, but we want to share what we've learned so far. We want to make some content about it. Because in case you didn't know, Kit is actually a book cover designer. And she has quite an extensive portfolio of book covers. And she helped project manage the design of our book covers. So she actually knows what you're looking for. And I think there's a lot of subtlety there that most people don't realize. And I'm sick of getting pitched bad book covers. Where I'm just like, mate, even if I did review this, I couldn't possibly sell this book to people because the cover isn't professional.
We get a lot of, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but we see a lot of indie book covers that I look at, and there's a couple of very obvious things that could just be tweaked to really make it look like a more professional cover.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about those things. And part of the problem is a lot of people hire an illustrator for their cover, but the illustrator doesn't necessarily understand how fonts and blurbs and things should really look on the book. That's right.
An illustrator knows how to make a good picture.
Yeah.
But you're not making a good picture for a book cover. You're making a product sample. You're selling it to people. You got to communicate what's inside. It's a completely different process to just doing a nice picture.
So that'll be coming next year.
Yes.
Probably not until maybe mid next year, but we're very excited to be doing those.
Yeah. Well, that's literally it, guys. That's everything we've read, everything we're going to read, everything we've done this year, everything we're going to do next year. I think some exciting things are happening around here. I think we're doing all right. We're getting by. The Book Guide channel, it has, I think in April, we're going to have our third channel birthday.
Anniversary.
So, yeah.
Channelversary.
It's birthday. Birthday's more fun. But yeah, we've been doing this for a little while. I think we're getting the hang of it by now. Yeah. And Kit, when are you going to do a video next? Because you guys remember Kit did a video once on a romance series, and she's been talking about it. Come on.
I did. So, I said this in our wrap-up video last year.
Good.
That I was planning to do a few video reviews this year. But for those of you who've watched the updates, my health has gone downhill this year. I've had to take a lot of time off from basically everything. I got a fibromyalgia diagnosis in the start of the year, in addition to having a host of other things that are wrong with me. Wrong.
Challenges that your body is facing, right? Like, yeah.
Things that I'm dealing with.
That's right.
But I do have the script written for one of my favorite series, and the hope is that early next year I will be well enough to present that in a video to you guys. And I am happy to take requests if there are other series, particularly romance series, that you would like a review on. Maybe I'll do the Morning Glory Milking Farm.
God. No, the point was you were going to contribute, not take over. Stop this. Right, we're going to end the video now. Well, guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining us and for enjoying our little channel where we talk about books. And I want to say, I really hope that what the Book Guide channel is doing is encouraging you to read more books and to actually have a love for reading. I think so often we can feel pressure to read in order to impress people, like it's a competition or like it's a job that you got to do. You got to read it a certain way and come to a certain opinion. But what we're always trying to say here is that read whatever you want and read it however you want and read it at whatever rate is important to you. You know, make the best of your own reading journey. And, you know, we just want to create resources that are here for you to use if it's going to help you. So I hope you'll keep reading. I hope you'll find lots of new exciting books in the years to come. And I hope that we will keep being able to give you good recommendations.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
I just want to say I have been a reader my whole life. It has quite honestly saved my life multiple times. And it is such a privilege to be able to share a small part of that in the book community with all of you who are watching, and to find other people who are just as excited about reading as we are. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoy everything that is to come, and we also hope you enjoy a good book today.
She said the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's end it there. Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye.